It was just another ordinary day, too peaceful to ever break. Inside a convenience store, a man reached for a bag of chips while a little girl watched curiously. Then the bag split, scattering the chips across the floor. The little girl tilted her head and asked if the man was trying to steal the chips. He explained that it simply ripped open. Suddenly, a burst of static filled the store as the television flickered to a breaking news alert, announcing that an earthquake had been detected and urging everyone to remain calm. Nearby, a group of students leaned against the store window, staring at something in the middle of the street. Moments later, the earth cracked and a blinding flash happened. An impossibly tall structure began to rise. The violent shockwave tore through the store, shattering glass and flinging dirt through the air like shrapnel. The man shielded the girl with his arms as the store was consumed by chaos. For a moment, there was only dust and silence. The man looked up, and through the smoke, he saw it, the tower. It wasn't made of stone or metal. It wasn't made at all. Towers similar to this one start appearing around the world. People poured into the streets. Some filmed it. Others fell to their knees. World leaders argued over the origins of the towers as panic rose. They called it the Nightmare Towers. As the chaos settled, people across the world received the same message, an invitation. Enter the tower. Become a tower walker. Those who accept will gain the power to save the world. The moment they pressed accept, light engulfed them and a voice echoed. System initialized. Blessing granted. In an instant, they vanished, teleported into vast stone halls where runes pulsed like the tower's own heartbeat. Inside, they learned the rules. They could fight, grow stronger, and even earn relics and skills. Just like in a game. Between battles, adventurers rested in strange sanctuaries where crystal walls showed live images of the world outside. Then, the tower spoke again. Tower impact approaching. Outer world exposure imminent. Outside, humanity adapted. Crews rebuilt what they could, and people lived beneath the tower's shadow, accepting them as part of the world itself. Then one worker froze. High above, at the tower's peak, a lone figure resembling a person stood, watching. The worker shouted to the figure, asking if they needed help, even calling the police in panic. But it wasn't human. A demon stared down at them, smiling as it drooled. In that instant, the world knew. Something terrible was coming. The demon's scream tore through the skies, signaling the beginning of the great disaster. From the tower poured an endless horde of monsters, and humanity would remember this event as the Tower Impact. Sirens echoed across the cities as chaos swept the streets. Soldiers mobilized, tanks roared, missiles screamed, and war began. Streets turned into battlegrounds as civilians ran for their lives, caught between monsters and fire. Even faced with an endless horde, humanity stood its ground. But against the tower's creatures, humanity's weapons meant nothing. The beasts tore through tanks and soldiers alike, unstoppable, unending, merciless. When the outbreak finally ended, the world that remained was unrecognizable. 1/3 of humanity erased in a single event. Inside the tower, those who accepted the tower invitation could only watch in horror as their fellow friends and families were slaughtered before their eyes. The choice they made had become their curse. In the midst of despair, one voice shouted, reminding everyone of the invitation's promise. Then, voices rose through the tower's halls, filled with rage, grief, and a single purpose: to climb the tower and save the world. And so it started. The walkers, armed with special skills and items, began to climb the tower in a final attempt to stop the total destruction of humanity. Time passed, and a group of walkers found themselves before a colossal ice wall, a frozen barrier blocking their path to the next floor of the tower. The walkers started smashing the wall, their weapons cracking ice with every hit. As the wall began to collapse and crumble, a shard of ice broke loose and fell to the ground. One of the party members noticed the shard glowing faintly on the ground and called the others over to inspect it. After a closer inspection, the party discovered the shard's true nature was a return stone, a relic capable of sending its user back in time with all their memories intact. Wang Inchin, the Tower Walker captain, picked up the stone and told the others he would try to use it, to see if the legends were true. A burst of blue light exploded through the room, forcing everyone to shield their eyes. And when the glow finally faded, the captain was gone, leaving the group stunned and confused. Sakamoto, once a science teacher, stepped in with a theory and offered to explain what he believed happened. He shared theories about the multiverse and parallel universes, suggesting that when the captain went to the past, the timeline may have split in two, and that they might never see the captain again. He stated that tower items have never lied, and that this one undoubtedly held the power to send each of them back into the past. Meanwhile, beyond the tower's walls, a second tower impact happened, forcing the walkers to make a choice. Before humanity was completely wiped out, should they use the regression stone and return to the past? Or should they stay here in this doomed timeline and die fighting? Back inside the tower, the walkers were fighting furiously against a centipede squid titan abomination, trying to break its way out. The titan proved far stronger than the walkers could handle, and it began wiping out the team. Overwhelmed with fear and desperation, what remained of the group used their regression stones, until only one was left. The last one stood alone. With the fate of this world resting on his shoulder, he refused to regress. But by himself, he stood no chance against such a formidable foe, and all hope was lost. He fell to his knees, accepting his fate as he stared up at the hundreds of colossal fangs and writhing tentacles. Then, against all odds, a lone figure appeared with twin daggers in hand, and unleashed a blinding storm of attacks, destroying the Titan beast in just 1 second. The lone walker let out a breath of relief, knowing he had managed to save the person in danger. A strong, commanding voice echoed from behind them, and the survivor slowly turned to see who it belonged to. He saw a group unlike any other, seasoned warriors from countless nations, armed with top-tier gear and the finest items the tower could offer. The man on the floor couldn't help but feel a wave of relief. Stepping beside the survivor, the captain of the group congratulated him for staying until the end. He grabbed the return stone and crushed it. They are the ones uncorrupted by the temptation of the regression stone. Humanity's last hope. Carpe diem.